I told you were going to fail, and you proved me wrong.
If not you, then who? Like who's gonna do your goals and your dreams for you? In my head, now that just makes sense. The only way out is through. You gotta keep pushing no matter how hard. I would tell myself, how can you be so depressed at 13? You haven't even fully lived life yet. Everything she was saying was resonating with me. So I'm sitting in my grandparents' church in the booth, like we're all sitting, and I'm the only one sobbing.
On the day of her opening day, her stepfather pulled her aside and said, I told you were going to fail, and you proved me wrong. The naysayers said she was too young. Just go to college. You need a real job. Forget about your dreams. She even got kicked out at 18 and then got pregnant at 21. And still, she became an amazing entrepreneur. She stuck to her dreams, and now she's crushing it. Welcome, Darielys. What's up, Ma?
Hi, how are you?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How are you?
Everything is well. I'm striving.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming through and your time.
Thank you.
So here at Raw Success, we adopted Earl Nightingale's definition of success, which is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Nice.
And so walk us, through the journey of your life and how you got here. Let us know, like, where you're from, a little bit about your early beginnings.
Okay. My name is Darielys. I am 25 years old now. I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey. Or I guess I could say I was born there. I moved to the town of Hawthorne, New Jersey when I was around 7, 8 years old. And then I was raised there half my life. From there, we went to Totowa. I am from a single mom of 3 kids, hardworking woman. So it was just us 3 and my mom.
When did you discover that you wanted to be different and do something different? Was there like a certain age where you always like that since you were young?
I think that it's just been, I always was like this since I was young. I always felt, I know people say that, but I truly always felt different from my siblings, different from my family. Like I always felt like I didn't belong. And the phrase black sheep of the family definitely resonated with me a lot, half of my youth years. So I just always felt like I had to, because I felt like I had that on me, I had to prove them wrong, and I had to do that from such a young age. I don't know how or why, but that's just how I felt.
How did you find courage to prove them wrong opposed to folding? A lot of people with that type of negative energy or people doubting, they fold under pressure.
Right.
But you said, nah, I'm going to prove them wrong. How did you, is that something that was just naturally in you? How did you develop that? And how did you even have the courage to do that and not just follow the pressure?
Right. Truthfully speaking, I've had my moments of feeling like a failure, feeling like I'm going to be a product of my environment. And that I saw the vision. I would sit down. I'm a what is that called? A visioner? Where I have to see things. I have to picture things before it can happen. And I'm big on writing it down or envisioning what I wanted for my future. So I had big goals, really big goals since I was young. And it felt like all the obstacles and it was like that. Everything was against me. Truthfully, I really don't know what pushed me. The only thing is I can say was the only thing that gave me a little bit of hope was all right, God, if you're real, if you're truly real, these were in a lot of my prayers. I grew up Christian. My grandparents are actually pastors. So when you're born in this, you kind of feel like you have to believe in it just because this is what you were raised in, right? But I never truly sought out the faith for myself. I kind of just went off what my parents taught me. Oh, you're going to a hard time, pray. Oh, you need this, pray. And I didn't really know what that meant. So my prayers consisted of, all right, God, if you're real, show me you're real. That was my main. And even then if I would get a confirmation or a sign, I still doubted, because we're human and I need to see things in person and in flesh, and trying to believe in somebody bigger than you and a higher power than you is kind of hard. Your brain can't grasp that kind of concept. So that was a lot of my thoughts. All right, God, if you're real, and if this, what do you want for me? If you're so real like they say you are, if you're so good, and a lot of these, what a lot of atheists kind of believe nowadays, like, oh, if he's such a good God, why would he do this to me? Or why would he let me go to this? Those were a lot of my back end first moment prayers with God a lot. And I kind of just sat there, and there would be many times I sat in my room. I cried, and I was just like, where are you? You know, it was like the basic cry for help to God. And truthfully, like now when I was reflecting for this, I saw just how he little by little answered every single prayer, and I didn't even realize he was doing so. So he was giving me the strength, because everything literally was just opposing against what I should be doing. And I don't know, I don't have words for how I was able to come out of that. It was truthfully the faith and the prayers of keeping me going. And also the doubt of, not the doubt, I hated hypocrites. That was one thing I've always hated since I was young. I'm people that would say things and then never actually do it. I was kind of that kid who got the back end of family members promising you things and never giving it to you. So I kind of just took from everybody, and I was like, that's what I don't want. That's how I don't want to be, you know? So everything that I saw how they were, I would literally take it and be like, how do you do the opposite? How do you think outside the box, like your shirt says? So how do you think, like, what is there, you know, like there has to be a different perspective that they're not reaching. And truthfully, like my mind, I'm an overthinker, definitely like to say an overdreamer. My brain can take me places, but I think it's beautiful at the same time.
Wow. There's so much to unpack there.
Yeah, it is.
One of the first things that I learned from listening to you is that you had a vision, which seems to be consistent. When I study success, I see that people are desiring to go somewhere. Right. So they're aware that there's a place, and I'm using the word place as an analogy, right? Or a state or something that they want to accomplish. So you're a visionary, and your faith assisted you along the journey. Yes. What are some of the things that you had to overcome during the journey? Okay. Well, before you go there, how did you even, because I get a lot of questions, a lot of people come to me with questions, about people finding their purpose or they're not having a vision. And I'm talking about even people my age. Right. So how did you develop, having a vision, or where did the vision come from, at such a young age? I mean, you're not even 25 yet. Right. So how are you so clear about that?
I used to sit, I was definitely your little girl who dreamt about her wedding day, dreamt about what I wanted my life to look like, still do to this day. So I definitely had a lot of dreams, and I would watch a lot of movies, watch a lot of things, and things that I saw that inspired me, I would take that, I would write it down. I'm like, by this age, I have to have this. By this age, I need this. I want 3 kids. I want to be married at this age. It was little things. I didn't have a set goal, but it was just what I was envisioning, like a timeline of what I wanted things to happen. But it's funny because, they say we make plans and God laughs, because everything that I envisioned was for after I reached 25, and it came before I hit 25, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful and better than I could have ever expected it to. But I kind of had a timeline. I was just envisioning, okay? And every time I would ask myself, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Or then do short-term goals. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? What is my goal that I'm trying to reach by the end of this year? And like baby steps. People want to jump the gun, and it's literally the littlest steps that will get you to your future goal. All this right here, everything you do, putting in the work after your work, these are the little steps that's going to get you to your future success, I believe.
Wow. I hope y'all are listening to the formula of success. There's a lot of consistency that I see when I study success. Another thing that I see about you is you had a desire for more than what your present reality presented itself. So something that I find is that successful people tend to have a bit of delusion. Yeah. And right now I'm reading Einstein's book, and Einstein himself said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Yes. So I see that you had people don't see that imagination is not like this thing where
you leave it in your head.
In your head, or is this thing that exists. It can be used as a tool, a manifesting tool. And you are you are an example of that. Right. So why do you think that most people stop? Most people, they want more. They'll have a vision. They'll have a dream, and then they stop. Or they quit. Okay. Did you ever experience that, or what do you think?
Some are probably not going to like this answer, but
let's keep it real.
I was raised on tough love, so I definitely do believe in a little bit of tough loving. The victim mentality. That will kill you. That will kill your dreams. That will kill your goals, because if you sit here feeling sorry for yourself, if not you, then who? Like, who's going to do your goals and your dreams for you? So I would allow myself a time frame, cry, thug it out. Next day, do it again. And it would suck, because a lot of the times when I would be living in the blessings of it, I couldn't really enjoy it, because I kind of got used to that cycle. All right, you did it, cried, thug it out. It was hard. Next step, next goal. So you got to find the fine lining between that. But the victim mentality, people, they tell you their stories, and truly people have it hard. They really do. But like, you have to make it out for yourself, because no one's going to help you. And I saw this quote one time. It was actually in the gym that I'm currently attending, and he had put on the board, the only way out is through. And that like stuck with me since then. I've seen it before, and in my head, now that just makes sense. The only way out is through. You got to keep pushing no matter how hard. You can't feel sorry for yourself for a couple hours. Cry, do what you have to do. If you need to sit and watch movies or take a break from your goals for a day, do it. But the next day, you got to get back up. You have to, because if not, you're going to lose sight. It is not an easy challenge to keep up with it, but you have to. You have to.
What would you say for those who are experiencing depression, which I know you battled with at one time? How did you get out of that, and what words would you share with people to get out of that?
What helped me, I was actually 13, around the age of 13, 14, I want to say, I started battling depression. I remember literally having suicidal thoughts, wanting to kill myself. And I'm like, I would tell myself, how can you be so depressed at 13? You haven't even fully lived life yet. Like, what was I pressuring down on my back so hard for? If I was only 13, I was not giving myself any grace or any slack. Definitely, like I said, it came with the feeling like the black sheep of the family, feeling most outcasted most of the times. The only things that I really could reflect on, and at that time I was actually heavy. I started my walk with God at the age of 13, and I was going to church 3 times a week, sorry. Mm-hmm. But it was like I was going, but I wasn't really feeling anything. I was still feeling upset, feeling depressed, feeling sad. And I remember one night sitting in my room, and I was crying, and I just told God, like, this feels too hard. Like, I don't want to keep doing this. Just take me out. Like, that's what I kept saying, was just take me out. Like, I really don't. Like, I'd rather not. I don't want to wake up the next day. I'm sure it was more in depth than what I'm saying it was. And I remember saying that prayer where I was just sobbing my heart out, and I was just crying. And I went to church the following week, I believe. And it was for the first time I went back to my grandparents' church. And my dad was like, just come. This lady, she's a powerful woman of God. She's supposed to be preaching, and it was for the youth. So I was like, I have nothing else to lose at this point. I was already depressed. I've already been in it. Why not? And I went, and she was preaching a message on just like heartbreak and depression and stuff like that. Everything she was saying was resonating with me so hard. Wow. So I'm sitting in my grandparents' church in the booth, like we're all sitting, and I'm the only one sobbing. Like, it feels like tunnel vision, like nobody else was there, and who she was, like
that message was for you,
was for me. And I'm crying in my chair, like in my seat. I'm trying to hide my face, and I'm like, there's no way. What are the odds? Mid-service, she doesn't even finish the service, she approaches me, and she continues to finish the word and continues to speak, and everything she's speaking, she's talking to me. And some of the things that she mentioned was like, she's like, you have a heart of gold, you wear it on your sleeve, and people take that and they crush it, and you're tired of being taken advantage of. And I was just like sobbing. She pulls me up to the front. She's like, can I just pray for you? And I'm like, all right, like at this point, like I said, what else can I lose? And she pulls me up and she prays for me. This is when she starts to remove the mic, and she starts to kind of get in my ear, and she started saying more stuff. And no one knew, nobody knew of the thoughts that I was battling at that time. And she pulls the mic from me, and she's like, God is showing me in your room crying.
Yeah.
There's days you wake up praying that you didn't wake up anymore. And she was just saying things. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You need some tissue?
I'm okay. Thank you. She was saying things that like nobody would know. Like, how would you know this? I didn't share it. Not even my own mom, who probably slept in the same house as me, didn't even know. So the only person I cried out to was God. Or if there was a God, was what I kept saying, like, you have to help me. And her saying these things that were so specific and so in detail, it rocked my world for a different. I'm like, there's no way that you can't prove that there isn't a greater existence other than us, and that there wasn't a creator that felt so right, who knew my heart, knew my desires. So she continued to pray over me and speak things that, like I said, no one knew. I was just in tears at this point, an overwhelming presence. And afterwards, she hugged me and she was telling me, she's like, God is real. God loves you. Stop doubting him. Stop doubting him. And after that, I was like, okay, I can only take what I just received and put it to work like I do with everything else, you know, because I could come to you by your health and be like, yo, you got to get fit. You got to do this. This is for your future. You can take what I'm giving you, but you got to go put it to work. So faith without works is dead. So it doesn't mean anything if you're not testing him, if you're not believing, if you're not stepping forward and saying, all right, God, if I fall, you're going to catch me. So from then on, at that moment was kind of when I started my journey. You know, then obviously you're in high school, you kind of fall off. But that was like my big pivotal moment with my faith and with my journey with God, and knowing that, okay, there is a God, he's real. Now I got to just discover. At that age, I wasn't really, after I got what I kind of needed, it sounds mean to say, but I wasn't really ready to dig in like that. And it wasn't until after I had my daughter, who I will always say was my saving grace. She just like, I don't know, she turned my world around. Like, kids, they can if you allow them to, you know, like, and I knew that I wanted better for my life. I couldn't sit here and bring somebody into this world and not give them better. It felt selfish, and it felt like she didn't ask to be here. And I remember those words being the words I used to tell my parents when I was struggling, going through beauty school and mastering 2 jobs at the same time. I didn't ask to be here. Why am I struggling paying my bills, my actual bills, and my school loans? You know, I was doing everything on my own. I didn't have any extra money to hang out, any extra money to do anything for my age. So it kind of felt unfair. And I'm like, you know, I didn't ask to be here. You two brought me here. The least you can do is help me. So that's kind of where it was deep. It was a lot, a lot to unpack. But it was where it was definitely my push to, that's where the grind really came from. Like, I got to put everything to work.
You know, I relate to what you're saying, because Lanasia, who's one of your friends, I always tell her that she saved my life. Actually, one of the times that I was speaking in Patterson, she came to hear me speak, and I said it in front of everybody. I told her to stand up. I said, you saved my life. Because at the time, I didn't really care about my life. I was a drug dealer. I was in the streets doing my thing. I didn't really care whether I lived or died. Right. But when she was born, I was like, yo, I can't be like my father and not be in her life, or be one of those dads that's in prison. Right. And so she gave me the motivation to transform. So she is definitely a pivotal, you know, moment in my life, her birth. So I tell her all the time that she saved my life. Indeed.
I love that.
So why do you, I think you answered it, but I'm going to ask you. It's interesting. When you were speaking, I had this question that I'm about to ask you, and then I think you answered it. But just in case, I don't want to assume. Right. I know a lot, and by the way, when I ask this question, it's not meant to debate at all. You know, it's to understand.
Yeah.
Why is it that so many people who believe in God and who go to church, like yourself, don't have that same experience, number one, and or they are not as successful with manifesting their goals? Because what I hear from you is that your faith played a major role in all of this happening. Yeah. And so I know a lot of people who believe in God. Right. I know a lot of people who go to church. And it doesn't seem like it works the same for them. Right. And me, as a scientific person, right, would like to think that things have consistency, you know? And so why do you think that it worked for you, but it's not working for others? Did that make sense?
It does. No,
Okay.
definitely. I'm just trying to learn how to figure out how to word this.
Yeah, please. Take your time.
Especially like for me growing up in church, it's, you know, you kind of hear this all the time, and it's harder because you're like, oh, you're a church person. Oh, okay, like, oh, get your God, or, you know, things like that. We've heard all the backlash. Yeah. Now as an adult, and back then I wasn't really serious. Now, where I'm at now, I found it for myself. I didn't want to sit here and say, okay, I believe in God because my grandparents, or I believe in God because my parents. Like, I want to do it because I believe in God, because he did it for me. He showed himself to me. What can I do? Now, you want to be successful. We want to be successful. What we do is we go find books. We go listen to podcasts. We go research. We do everything we can to get tips and knowledge. It's the same thing with God. A lot of people, though, are not willing to put in the work. And I feel like that's where the victim mentality comes from, where they don't want to. If you really want to seek truth, you will find truth. That's all it is. So I was eager to find truth, and so I sought it. Like, people also don't want to do the work within themselves. I'm a very open-minded person. I always have liked to take constructive criticism. Not don't be mean to me, but tell me so I can be better. What can I do to be better? A lot of people don't have that. They have this wall, they have this guard, they're prideful, and pride is your number one killer. I will always live by that. Pride will it will destroy you. You need people to correct you and show you the ways. Even like our parents, our parents will do it. Sometimes we may not like it, but sometimes we need that. And a lot of people that I've noticed in their walk where they fall off with God is when God is trying to do the work in their hearts, people are like, God, help me with my finances. God, help me with my family. Help me with this. But the second it's something that's so personal to them, they're like, no, never mind. I'm going to back up. That's where you can't have access to, because I truthfully don't want to change. There's a story of something that actually happened to me while I was pregnant. I'm sure you're aware. I'm not going to go into details, but with something like that, one of the biggest things I'm facing with my faith is forgiveness, right? So everybody, we're hurt people. And forgiving somebody who hurt you is not the easiest task, that you want to do. You definitely don't. I would love to sit here in my brain and kind of wish bad things, but as a Christian now in my walk, I'm learning like that's the hardest pill to swallow is not let me be mean and wish bad on them. It's God, I forgive them for what they did. God bless them. Even though they hurt me, bless them so they don't hurt anybody else. That is a stripping yourself to be humble. And a lot of people don't know how to be humble and remove their pride. So I truthfully feel like that's what gets in the way of them allowing them to seek God and find the truth, to be honest, and why they don't change and they stay the same. And the second that it starts to hit something like that, no, they hurt me. No, I'm not doing that. No, they deserve every bad thing coming to them. They don't want to do the work. And you gotta, sometimes you gotta take the L, right? That's what we were just talking about. You gotta take the L sometimes. Yeah. And it comes in every aspect. Like I said, health, right? I'm into like trying to get healthy now and eating good and hitting the gym. I don't want to eat healthy. I don't. I like my McDonald's. I like my Chick-fil-A. I don't want to do it, but I have to take the L in order for me to get the body that I want or to get the mindset that I want in the future. I gotta cut it off. That's where people fall off in their fitness journey. So it's something, everything is just a lack of discipline that people don't have. And also like, how bad do you really want it?
Wow. Yeah. What I'm hearing is, and you said a lot and I love it because again, success leaves clues. They're just not living by. So I think that whatever philosophy you embrace or whatever school of thought, spiritual system, you just have to apply it. Yeah. You have to just apply it and put in the work.
Yes.
So you mentioned taking L's as an entrepreneur and as a woman. So you are a minority of a minority. Right. You're an entrepreneur. You're a woman, right? A whole bunch of things. Right. You're totally breaking all types of boundaries.
Right.
What are some of the L's you took? How did you overcome them?
Some of the L's I've taken definitely comes with...
And for those who don't understand, L means losses.
The hits, right? Sometimes definitely in the working with women, a lot of it is competition and not like this is your... could be your next partner, everything is, or collaboration, right? I always like to say that she's not your competition, she'll be your collaboration. Something like that I saw not too long ago too. And people when you're working with women, a lot of it is jealousy, envy, hate. People always want to see you doing good, never better than them, right? I will always say that. A lot of the L's that I faced as a business owner, you're going to have people that are going to support you, and then you have your people that are not going to support you. So one, that hits, because people that you thought were going to support you are definitely not. They're not going to be the first one, so don't be surprised. And then that was something I struggled with a lot, was, people that I felt like, okay, yeah, I can't wait to do this, I'm going to support you. But no, they want to eat with you. They don't want to serve and make the food with you. So that is one of the hardest things. You have to know who's really with you and who really is supporting you, because if not, it'll get in your feelings and it'll eat you up, and you can't. Business is business. Another L, I would say, being young, definitely has its challenges. I wasn't raised, but my parents are not business owners. My mom is now getting into that lifestyle. So a lot of the information, the knowledge that I needed, I had to go searching for on my own. I had to Google everything the same way we do. So that was something that was hard for me. Pick up a book, learn things to read for businesses, or that I would like to learn, even money, right? Like, we're raised and we're kind of like, I don't want to say middle class, but we're not taught about money and how you can make your money work for you. And everybody wants financial freedom, but we don't even know where to start. We don't even know where to get there. So it's a lot of those things, like running the business aspect side of it, that I didn't know. How do I budget? How do I know that this has to go strictly back into the business? Taxes, inventory, a lot of these things you do face. And I had to take the punch to the gut sometimes, where I'm like, wow, I just made a good week. Like, this is great money. Nope. You got to divide that, put that away in savings, because next week is going to be a slow week, and you're going to have your slow seasons, People will have hard times. They'll lose their jobs, or they want to take a break. So they can't really support what you're doing, or continue doing it. So that is definitely a hard thing, especially when you're working with people. People are not really reliant sometimes. So you got to know that one week you can make great money, and the next week you're bringing in nothing. That is just the biggest L that you'll take as your only entrepreneur, your own small business owner.
Yeah, and how do you manage that as a mom? So you're a business owner and you're a mom. And I was raised by a woman, so I have much respect. And the beautiful thing is that you are doing one of the most important things in society, right, I believe, is keeping the nuclear family strong.
Yes. And
the fact that you are engaged, right? Mm-hmm. So you're with the father of your daughter. So salute to both of you. Mm-hmm. I understand what that journey's like. Mm-hmm. It's tough. It requires work.
Yes, it does.
So in addition to, you're a fiance, you're a mom, and a business owner. How do you juggle all of that? And you mentioned your health and your fitness. How do you manage it all?
That's a great question. I ask myself that sometimes too, because you got to be real. You're like, there's so much on your plate. But I had to switch my perspective, and instead of being like, I have so much, like, I got to be a mom, I got to be a wife, I got to be a business owner, my clients need me, I need time for myself, the home needs me, like the woman builds her home. So I had to recently switch my perspective on that and just be so happy that, like you said, it's a job. Being a mom is a full-time job. Being
it's the
a
most
wife,
important job ever.
Job. I definitely
let's not to cut you.
Yeah, no.
I just have to say that because I feel like mothers or womanhood gets downgraded, especially in this day and time, when being a mother is the most important job. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on a tangent about that.
It is.
But I feel like they act like it's nothing.
Yes.
And it's everything. Mm-hmm. Pardon me.
No, sorry. They act like we're just supposed to know. So everything falls on the mom. And that is something that I definitely don't agree with. Two of y'all grown enough to do grown people business.
Say that.
You guys can be parents together. It is equally. It's not the mom knows better or whatever. Just like because I didn't know, I truthfully didn't know. Everything that I did, I had to look it up. Or, hey, mom, like, what did you do when the baby's crying for this? Or, I had to ask. Ask and you will find. That's the only thing I could always say. Seek and you'll find the answers.
And not to cut you, and I think that there's an issue with that because outside of our family, right, passing that on, what the hell is school there for?
Right. That's a whole
right. Like,
don't get me started on that subject.
You're not preparing me for.
No, nothing.
Anyway,
that's a whole other
right.
Homeschool is about to be the way to go.
Say that. So
Listen,
managing it all.
Yes, yes, but you have to look, like I said, and you'll get your answers. But managing it all, yeah, it's tough. I've had my fair share of breakdowns and wondering if I was really capable of doing something like this. I've wanted to pull my hair out. I've had rage. I've had anger. I've fallen short back into a quick mini depression. And I allow myself to feel those feelings, because when you block it off, your heart becomes hardened. And I don't want that. Like, I want to, not that I want to live in my heart anymore, but I just kind of like want to feel, like, so we can communicate what it is that I'm feeling, and let's get to the problem. I noticed the more that you let things linger, you've built resentment over time over something this little, so I didn't want to hate what I do. I didn't want to hate being a mom. I didn't want to hate being a wife. And I noticed that I was starting to hate all those things. I didn't want, everybody was just needing a piece of me, and I was pouring myself into everybody, but who was pouring into me? So I definitely did. I'm not going to downplay. I had that kind of moment for sure. It is not an easy task, but like I said, now that I'm back in my faith, back in my walk, I learned that it is a privilege, that could also be a calling. Raising kids, like you said, is a beautiful thing.
You mentioned shifting your perspective.
Yes, yeah, and serving my husband, it's a beautiful thing. Like we, and even for me to say that, look at the divorce rates, right now, and people in my age not wanting to get married. These women now are too much in their masculine energy, and the men are, I don't know what they're doing, but nobody.
Too much in their feminine energy.
Yeah. Too much that the house is not going in order the way it's supposed to. So I recently learned that with what I'm currently reading, which we'll touch on later, I'm sure. I recently learned that, and I'm trying to, like I said, you can read something, but if you're not putting it to work, the knowledge is useless. What you just read goes out the window. You have to put it to work, even if it hurts. Balancing it is definitely not easy, but now that I've gotten to the point where I wake up, I thank God every day. Thank you, God, to have a beautiful, healthy baby girl. Thank you, God, to have a business that is flourishing and puts money on the table so I can put clothes on her back. I can put food in my man's belly, clothes on my back. Thank you, God, for my future husband, because our families were not married. We came from both broken homes. So thank you that I even get to say that I'm making it this far, that we're making it this far.
Breaking cycles.
Yo, yes. Yes.
Generational curses.
Yes. Yeah. So you just got to flip the narrative. It's not easy, but like I said, choose your heart. Life is going to be hard. Choose your heart. And if my heart's got to be doing this, then I'm going to be like, I'll take it.
Speaking about choosing, how were you able to choose, I'm going to use the word right, and not like morality, right, but the best partner? Because I feel like that's an issue. Let's just say that I have not made the best choices when it comes to the people in my life.
Right.
And so the Napoleon Hill, who wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich, he talks about how there's a principle called a mastermind. Let me say that. And what a mastermind is, basically a collective that you align yourself with of people who have similar goals and aspirations, however, have different skill sets.
Right.
And the concept is that if you and I are a mastermind, and we are, a mastermind can be as long as there's more than one person. Right. So you and I, that's two minds. We create a super mind, a third mind, with your insight and my insight, your experience and my experience. We combine that and create like a super conscious mind, right? And so there's this concept of the mastermind where he says the most important person in your mastermind, meaning in your group of manifestation, is your partner. Right. So for me, it would be my wife. For you, your husband. So it's such a crucial thing to choose the right partner, not only to build a family with, but who's going to understand you, your journey, your purpose, your passions, and be patient. Like you said, right? You've had moments where you made a lot of money, right? And then days so that takes patience, yes, right? Yeah. So how were you able to choose the best partner for you and your journey? Because I feel like that's important, that we need to really share.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when the divorce rate is so high.
So high, yeah. And marriage kind of seems like against us right in today's days than it is for you. So,
I even question my own marriage sometimes.
Yeah, no, but that's normal. That's, I feel like I've learned that too, that I'm like, are we supposed to be together? Like, we've been together since we were in high school, so we're high school sweethearts.
Wow, beautiful.
Let me tell you, the Bible says he that finds a wife finds a good thing. So I live by that. And I don't believe in me as the woman picking the man. The man has to see the characteristics in me. And, I'm not going to sit here and try to change you. I used to like that mentality of like, he's a little player. Let me try to get him to change him. No. So my fiance, who I'm with now, actually was the opposite of what I used to be attracted to, in a sense of how what I liked. He was the nice guy. He was the gentle guy. He was the charisma he carried, the open door. And I used to be like, Mom, he's like so weird. He's so nice. Like and these are things I would literally say because it's normal. Today, every girl will diss the nice guy and go for the mean guy or the bad boy, right?
I don't know. Right? The gangster, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but so that was a lot of our first couple years was me kind of dissing him. He actually in high school was telling me like, you're going to be the one I'm going to marry. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm staying away from you. But like I like to believe by faith, every time I moved towns, I lived in Hawthorne. He ended up coming from Elma Park to Hawthorne. We were in Hawthorne for probably about 2 or 3 years together. I ended up moving from Hawthorne to Totowa just out of luck. His mom called my mom one day, and they were looking at houses in Totowa. Didn't end up moving to Totowa, but moved to Wayne. So somehow we kept coming together. Like I think I even told Lanasia one time when I was at her house, I'm like, we keep finding each other. Like this is so weird. Like so by my senior year was when I kept getting all the signs where I was like, all right, like I said, like I do with everything, I was like, God, if you're real and if this is the man I'm supposed to be with. I was also trying to save myself from marriage. Like I said, growing up in that household with my dad, my mom and my dad are not together, but my dad was, back in the days, formal player, knew what he was doing, played the game. I think when you have a daughter, your whole world shifts and you realize that you don't want that man to be, you don't want your daughter to date the man you were, right? So my dad shifted gears for sure. It took a while, but he shifted his whole life. And everything that he used to say or do, he'd be like, listen, these are the guys you don't want. Please, like he was begging me. The only wish that he would want would be for me to save myself till marriage. So I kept that. We did a ceremony in my church. I had a purity ring for a while. So I think that was the number one thing was guys already knew approaching me that you weren't going to have that kind of access. And it would kind of like cut it at the gate. Definitely. Right there. Like they want.
I ain't getting none?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Like we're adults here. They would literally come and the second they would see that, like, nah, never mind. Or you would have the men who would like to challenge and think that their ego was stroked enough to get to break it and say that they got somebody who was a virgin, right? So one thing I definitely always had, thanks to my father, for sure, men are needed in the household. Your daughters, your sons, they need their fathers. I can't stress that enough. There's things that us mothers, we do a big role, but we cannot do what a father does.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. As a father and a man.
Yeah.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you're fine. I will always acknowledge, like I said, both parties play a huge role. And my parents did, my mom did the mom role, and my dad did the dad role. And he spoke to me about just what it was that, when I'm looking for in a man, what he wants from me.
Let me add, not to cut you.
No.
And I'm dapping her up, not because she's bigging up men.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about males. I'm talking about a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
a man.
Because I don't want these fake dudes to be like, oh yeah. Nah, if you're not building, if you're not living the attributes of what masculinity is supposed to be,
right.
We're not talking about you.
Right.
You need to grow up and mature.
Right.
And get your life together. And man up.
Right. And I will add too, being raised an independent woman by an independent woman, my mom took a lot of her hurts from men and kind of, I don't think she realized, but it was like unintentional projecting, like to protect us, so that we wouldn't get hurt the way she got hurt. And you have to realize too that men hurt too. Men are just raised that they can't talk about their feelings and they can't express their feelings. And I think that whole wall builds a lot of the men today. That's why we're having men like that.
A lot of us don't even know what a man is and how to be a man.
Right. And just like us women, but I think the point too that when you're young, women are coming on their daughters like, oh, do this, do that, because no one's going to want to marry you. But the same type of vibe, maybe not so hard, but the same type of things can be taught to the man just without thinking that he has to be so manly. We're both human. We both have heart. We both have emotions. We both have feelings. When you come to marriage, all of a sudden now you have to learn that you have to communicate your feelings. And I got to hear what my husband is saying. He has to hear what I'm saying. I was taught like we're the whiners because we cry, we're dramatic, but the men are supposed to suck it up. And a lot of times in my relationship, I used to be like, yo, suck it up. And sometimes you can, not all the time. That is definitely, men definitely need the grace too. I'm learning that now. That is huge for me because I was in tough love. So a lot of times I would tell Isaiah, my fiance, suck it up. You're a man. This is what you got to deal with. But now I'm learning like there's other ways to say things. And also a woman multiplies what a man gives her. If you guys are meant to be together and you guys work great together, like back to your question, right? If you guys had to know, like me and Isaiah, we didn't really know. We just knew that our hearts were the same. He was a hard people lover. I was a hard people lover. We were big yesers. We could never say no. We wore our sleeves on our shirts on our back. And that was a lot of the good principles, the things, there's many more, but that I loved about him, that stuck with me. That was like, yo, at your age, a lot of these boys, because that's what they were, boys were not showing that. It was like money, flashing what they had. Oh, like, if they could get you, bag you or not. So he was, I have to give him credit for sure. He was a great young man from the moment I met him. Very respectful. When we started talking, dating, and I told him about my plans of waiting, okay. Like it was straight off the rip. Okay, no pressure, no nothing. So that was different. Then we come to find out that my dad, like my family ended up knowing his family. You know why? His grandparents are pastors.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was like, all right, God, I see what you're doing for us because what are the odds? It was so random. So his grandma used to attend my grandparents' church, and our families just knew each other. Oh, this is your dad. Oh, this is my dad used to go hang out with his dad. Yeah. Crazy. So off the rip, my dad's like, love this man. I give him my blessing. Like he's coming from a good background. And I'm happy that my dad gave him the chance to, for sure. My parents were seeing it before I could see it, for sure. But we were both raised very different. Isaiah, I don't want to undermine his struggles either. Don't know. He definitely didn't have to struggle as hard. He has amazing parents that are willing to, hey, you need help? I'll give it to you. Hey, you need help?
Good for them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I learned in my young years, I was kind of like envious of that. So I would project onto him because I didn't have that. Like, you have to get it by yourself. Stop asking your parents for everything. Work hard. Do this just like I do. But now, being a parent, I'm like, if Ava calls me, I'm going to be like, okay, I'll help you with whatever.
I just want to add something real quick. We just, and this is as a parent, I think that sometimes though we could enable our children.
Yes,
if we help them too much. I think there is,
for sure.
But yeah,
for sure. No.
Just like everything in life, as far as struggles can be a good thing, but at the same time, we shouldn't have unnecessary struggles.
Right.
And I think that the community where we come from, there's a lot of unnecessary struggle in addition to drama and a whole bunch of things.
Right.
And one thing I want to add, and this is to not negate what you said, I don't think there's a such thing as being too manly.
Right.
Because you mentioned something about like being too manly.
Yeah,
so not to quote you exactly. I think it's just what a lot of men lack, and I'm a man, is the other aspects of masculinity.
Yes. Yeah.
Where some of us is because of where we come from, and I'm not trying to make any excuses, because of where we come from and what we had to do to survive.
Right.
And some of us, we don't have men in our lives, and we're just not taught. Like for me, like even like holding a woman's hand, for example, I don't even know if I was taught that, but somehow I got the concept that that's for suckers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yo, you sucker for love, dude.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And so like you grow up thinking these
Today
things.
we call it simp. They're like, oh, you can't even be nice to your
Right.
lady.
Then meanwhile, I have a wife, and my wife loves to hold hands.
Right.
And it makes me feel super awkward,
Right.
even like to this day. And so I don't think that there's such thing as being too manly, because especially like now this day and time, I feel like there's this thing of trying to emasculate men.
Yes.
There's no such thing as being too manly. We just have to develop more aspects
Right.
of
Yeah, you
masculinity,
definitely
just
do.
develop other things.
Yeah.
Right now, we're just using our arms when we
Right.
can use our legs also.
Right. And the difference is too, women, like, since birth, we are fast. Girls are so fast. I have a 3-year-old, and I don't compare kids. I don't like to do that, but I can just see in a girl point of view how fast our brain works and how fast we can pick up things and learn things. And now I get it, like, why God decided to make man and women and was like, yeah, you need a wife, because there are certain things that a man, you guys think logically. We think emotionally. We see the future, and you guys will think right here. So together,
You're enlightened.
yes, together you will literally come and like, all right, babe, I see your plan. You got this. Now let me, what I can come up with. You guys come with plans together. I'm thinking future, farther along. And if you guys can come up with a plan together, it will be beautiful. Yeah. Literally beautiful.
So I think that what makes y'all special and unique is you're just aware of who you are.
Yeah.
And what you needed. And it didn't come easy. This wasn't an overnight thing.
No.
You know, you mentioned like first liking the bad boy character.
Yeah.
And then realizing like, you know what, that's not the best thing for me.
No.
Yeah.
I also noticed too that coming to my healing journey, that's something I was really big on after I had my daughter, so that I wouldn't project my hurt onto her.
You are enlightened.
So I literally was like, I'm not going to do what my parents did to me. And obviously they did the best with what they could at the time with what they had. So I don't discredit how they raised us, because I give it to them. Nowadays, we have everything literally at our phones. I can go on Google. I can look up a question. I can go on Instagram. There's a page for everything. So now there's a page that I followed since I had my daughter, and she's called the Holistic Psychologist or something like that.
I've heard of her.
Love her. And she'll post reels with her and her girlfriend. They'll react like how to come over with arguments. I mean, fixing arguments, or when you're feeling something, how to express a need. Those are things that I was never taught ever. So now coming into our relationship, I learned that me and him were products of people who didn't know that, poured into us, and then here we are trying to have a healthy marriage. We don't even know what a healthy marriage looks like. So we got to really put in the work, and that's where we're at now. He knows what he wants as well. He is definitely like above his years, I would say too. He is a smart man. He knew what he was doing. When the number one characteristic I remember when I would compare him to other guys was like, Isaiah does things that this guy would not be able to do. Like I would say literally this: if I could give him bricks, he would build me a house. But this guy would not know what to do with it. And those were...
But he's the coolest dude in the world, right?
And those were things that like remind yourself, yeah, this guy has the newest sneakers on and he looks so fly and he has game and he knows how to pull me in. But Isaiah, he didn't have game. He didn't know how to talk. It would be me making conversation with him all the time. But I would confidently say, if we were to be stuck, these are comparisons, because like I said, I envision a lot.
You're visionary.
If we were stuck in the wilderness, like which one is going to help me get out? Who's going to help me survive? And that's how you got to know. That's kind of basically how I pick my partner.
On the real,
help me survive.
As nice as your husband is.
Yeah.
That's a man.
Yes, yeah.
He could build you a home with his hands.
Yes.
And what I like about him too, he's into guns.
Yeah.
So you won't starve.
I haven't started. No, for
I'm gonna keep it
sure.
real. You give me some bricks,
yeah,
I'm gonna be like,
No, yeah, I'm not good with that.
I'm gonna text Isaiah.
Yeah, everybody, and that's what I noticed too. Like everybody in his family, they're going to Isaiah. They're going to him. So I'm like, all right, if he has the foundation of what it's like or what it means to be kind of like a man, right? I don't mind now that I'm growing and I'm maturing and I'm healing. I don't mind pouring into what else it is that he needs. If he needs to learn how to speak better, or if he needs to learn how to get his communication in alignment with what it is that he wants to say, express his feelings, like I'm willing to do that now. I'm not trying to make somebody some thug and make you love me. No, I know he loves me. Ugly, prettiest moment, he still wakes up and he will still tell me he loves me. I will never, ever undermine that part of him. Like, love that about him.
That's so powerful
and
beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Salute to you, Isaiah.
Yeah.
So, as far as entrepreneurship, something that I'm hearing from you too is that the choices you make surrounding becoming a business owner, like your mate, your lifestyle, the friends you have, all of those elements also affect your ability to be a business owner.
Yes.
So it's not just about making decisions for your business. It's really decisions for life.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Yes. Being intentional is the number one thing I would say. You have to be intentional.
So,
Go ahead.
so you chose the tough route.
Yeah.
You know, they told you go to school, get a real job. Why not the easy route?
Honestly, I like, my parents like to say that since a young kid, I talked back a lot. I didn't like no for an answer. I had an attitude. So I guess I would like to say that that's in my personality already, was to go against the current. And I was just curious. It was out of innocence, I would say. My mind would just go like, but why? Okay, why can't I touch that? Or why I can't go there? Or why? And as I got older, now you learn, like I said, it's a projection. My parents forced college because they weren't able to go to college. So they thought initially they were giving me the best option by being like, go to college and be somebody. But thank God, and I will say I'm very proud of myself that I kept my guard. I stood on business. I didn't really, I didn't fold because I could have, and it was hard. I took the year off. I took the comments people were saying, but honestly, every time someone would say something negative, as much as it hurt, it was like fuel. It was like what I use. Like you have no choice but to make it, because if you fall, people are laughing at you.
You know, it's interesting. You compared yourself. You say you're the black sheep. Yeah. I say, nah, you're a wolf. Because you're not sheep.
Yeah, right.
Because you didn't fall for the sheep.
Right.
That's what they tell the sheep.
Right.
And you didn't fall for that.
Right.
Wow. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I want you to know that for the women out there, the young women, the little girls who have dreams, who have goals, and maybe they're nervous about it because they don't have the courage you have.
Right.
What advice would you give them?
Don't let anyone else make the choices for your life, because at the end of the day, they're not living your life. Whether they're your parents, your siblings, everybody has their own route, and you have to find what works best for you, and only you know you. And if you don't know you, do the digging, do the research, do the work. It's gonna hurt, it's gonna suck, it's gonna feel like your world is caving in, and you're gonna feel isolated, and you're gonna feel different. But I think that's the point. Like, if you're not meant to stand in, you're meant to stand out. So you have to really be okay with that. Like, I had to come to terms with that, and really just like, okay, where there's a will, there's a way. I always say that. There's always gonna be a way. I just have to find that way. Put in the work. You're gonna reward yourself. I was sitting here yesterday reflecting. I don't think I ever sat and reflected all that I had to overcome and all that I have to do. And I was like, wow, like, that wasn't easy. That didn't come by a single ounce of like, yeah, I woke up overnight and I was like, I'm going to be a lash artist. I'm going to run a business and I'm going to do this. It did not come like that at all. I didn't even know. I just knew I wanted to have a business. I knew that I didn't want to work for somebody. I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to have the freedom, because it's not really free, right? It's just you have your own, because entrepreneurship, you're doing all the work. There is no there's nobody you're reporting to. You're clocking in and you're never clocking out. So after I'm putting the baby to bed, I'm still doing business work. After I wake up, I would wake up early hours to still do some business work, and you're not getting paid for those hours that you're putting in, you know. But I would just say, like, you have to do the work. Keep on pushing. Nothing in life comes easy. Choose your heart. So are
you a reader?
I am getting into reading now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't think it's necessary to read. I thought that, but I realized there's a lot of people who don't read who are very successful.
Right.
So do you have like a favorite book or a favorite quote? Anything you would like to share?
I do have a favorite quote. I'll get to that. The book I challenged myself this year of 2024 was to start reading more. Less of this, more of picking up books. Like I said, if I want to learn knowledge, I'm going to practice what I preach. So I try to apply everything to myself. I am currently reading the Bible. I'm interested in learning. If people are saying that this is how you'll know God's word, right? You have to know him by reading his word. If you want to learn about somebody, you're going to pick up a book that they wrote, right? Or that was written about them. Because in school, we read autobiographies. It wasn't necessarily that George Washington wrote it, but people who walked with him wrote it.
Right now, I'm listening to a book about Einstein.
Right. And probably
you didn't read it.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, what can I get out of that have nothing to lose? I really don't. The only thing I can do is gain knowledge. And whether I gain the truth of this is for me and this is absolutely right, or this was not. Now I can pick something else. So I am doing a plan. It's a 365 plan is reading the Bible in 1 year. I've been doing it every single day with a couple of my friends.
I love it.
Truthfully, it is the most interesting book I have ever read. I'm not much of a reader, and that's why it's a lot for me, because in the Bible there's 66 books, so it's not just one. You're reading 66 different books that people wrote who walked with God. Who had share their testimonies with God in an Old Testament, and then in the New, you have people who walked with Jesus. And then the way that it comes together years later, you're questioning. Then you want to do the science aspect of it, and then you want to go deeper into it. There's a lot of knowledge in there. One thing that I love about it is now finding God and learning. I think I told you before, was that everybody God used, people misinterpret church and misinterpret religion, right? Like to say, everybody God used in the Bible was somebody who was broken, damaged, destroyed, depressed, an alcoholic, a prostitute. And I'm listing people. These are people right now that are in the Bible that he used. And he used what they were, their situation, and he qualified it. He exhorted it in such a way that I think that's why now today church people get upset, or they judge so hard, and they don't realize. I'm like, how are you not reading the same book I'm reading? Because everything that he came to do was opposite of what you're saying. Not just come, sit, church, enjoy a motivational speech, and then go home about your day and still be mean. No, he wanted to use the broken parts of you, fix the pieces, and build you up again. Jesus came down, walked this earth. He came to correct the most religious people. I want to get that out there. I have to get that out there, because people think religious people are so quick to judge. And he came to judge them. He was like, you guys are hypocrites. And now I learned maybe why I have such an alignment with this, because I hate hypocrites. And Jesus in the Bible 100 times says, you hypocrites. And he talks about how much he despises that. And for me, that was like a beautiful full circle moment, because I'm like, okay, so it's not just me thinking I'm better than, it's the truth. It's don't practice what you're not preaching. Don't preach what you're not practicing, right? So it has definitely been really interesting. It's what helped me even more so get to where I'm at, especially now that I'm working on our marriage together, working on my mom life, and even with entrepreneurship. Like, I've learned that there's a lot of verses in there that help you with your business. So it helps me feel even more confident. Then I'm like, okay, God, you don't want me to lose. You want me to win in all aspects of my life. And there was a video I actually came across 2 days ago on Instagram. It was a reel. This guy, he's buff, big white dude. He's showing, somebody came to interview him real quick, and he's like, dude, can I ask you about your yacht? This is a big yacht. This is beautiful. And he's like, yeah, come see. I do an interview. I do TikToks, and I just kind of ask people, like, what do they do to be able to afford this, whatever. So he's showing him the yacht. The guy's telling him when he was 22, he manifested. When he was young, he manifested. He made a board. And
vision board?
Yeah, he took a picture of a yacht. He said that by the time he was a certain age, he wanted to own that yacht, right? So I'm sitting here. I was about to scroll. This was me. I was like, all right, let me go and just scroll, like your usual, like kind of like successful story, whatever. But no one really talks about how, right? Like, are you gonna get to the how? And he tells him that when he came to buy this yacht, he ended up realizing that it was the same yacht he had pictured on his board. And the guy was like, that's awesome. Do you have any advice or anything that you would give people that are wanting to do the same thing? And he surprised me. He was like, you guys are gonna laugh at me right now because you guys see me and you guys are probably not gonna believe me. Read your Bible. And when he said that, even me, someone who's a Christian, I was mind blown, because I'm like, nah, there's no way. And when I said I'm quick, that right there was me quick to judge somebody who was big and flashy and showing his things. But that had to come with me breaking how I was raised with the picture of God, that we're not supposed to be a certain way, or that we can't love money, right? That's the biggest thing everybody misconstrues. When he said that, and I'm reading the comments, and everybody just like, yes, like that was the answer I was least expecting, because everybody's so quick to grab another book. So yeah, very long answer. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. No, that's great. And
but,
I and I'm not a Christian,
right.
But I found an appreciation for the Bible, because I noticed all of the books that I was studying,
yes,
they all reference the Bible.
Yes.
So I realized that,
yeah.
and I want to read the Bible eventually. I realized that the
it.
Bible is not or let me not say, because I'm not Christian, so let me say it's not just a religious book.
No.
It's a personal development book.
And I truly believe that as you're reading it, they call it the book of life. So when you're reading it, it is a book that literally speaks to you. I have read the Bible last year, definitely now how I'm doing it as much as I'm doing it now. And I'll read the same verses that I read last year. I'm reading them now. And I'm like, this did not hit like that. I got a whole different revelation then, and I'm getting a whole different revelation now. And it's beautiful with how many times it can come to life and speak to you in a different way. And I truly believe with you reading it more and more, you will find even more of yourself, find more things. And I feel like God will only show himself and reveal himself to you or to anybody that is really genuinely curious. Like I said, I had answers. Let me seek the answers.
I love it. So last question. 1,000 years from now, because I want you to live a very, very long life. 1,000 years from now, they're reading your eulogy. And in one sentence, what would you like to be remembered for?
All right, I'm actually going to pull it up because it's my favorite. It's actually a verse from the Bible, but I think it's something that really speaks. It's a lot of it's scripture quoted that a lot of girls nowadays love to use. I've seen it on college caps when they're graduating. And I'm like, that verse is so powerful. If you only read the whole thing and if you only really knew what it meant, don't just take that one part, read the whole thing. But it's Proverbs 31:25. And it says, she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh at the days to come.
I love it.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Let's get it. Good luck on it. And best progress, much success, blessing
you too.
for all of your endeavors.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on here.
Peace.